Welcome back everybody to the Nomad Hedge. In today's video, we will be taking a look at the price action for Bitcoin, and we're going to be asking the question if we're bottom here or if we're likely going to break out towards new all-time highs. So if you haven't already, consider liking and subscribing, and let's get into the video. So let's take a look at Bitcoin here from an Elliott wave perspective. The current primary view is that we have concluded wave 1 to primary. Now, we have reiterated this in the previous videos, but just to recap this Elliott wave count, what we're seeing here potentially is another base here, right? So another base over base structure, meaning this could be the stage here for an intermediate degree. And so when we take a look at Bitcoin here on a monthly chart, you can see that it's currently finding support at the 21 EMA, meaning if we're going to break this level, that means we could set the stage here to break wave 2 primary, and that we could likely see Bitcoin falling down to the 55 EMA on the monthly chart, which would align with the 0.618 retracement. Now, if Bitcoin would break down below the 21 EMA here on the monthly, well, then we would have to invalidate this current view, right? And so the other alternative view would be that this impulsive move here would have instead been the primary, right? So what we're looking for here is the conclusion of the entire move from 2022. So that's basically how we define this market here. So as long as we're trading above wave 2 primary and staying above the 21 EMA on the monthly chart, we are still factoring in that Bitcoin could set the stage for a 1-2 base here. Otherwise, if we're breaking below this level, again, then our view is that we are likely going to correct this entire move and that we could see Bitcoin falling further to around $60,000 or $56,000, $55,000. So that would be a huge drawdown. Now, what would support that scenario? Well, one way to take a look at it is obviously Bitcoin's relationship to Tether, right? So we have seen recently that Tether has entered a new bullish phase, meaning it has broken above this trend line here, and that we're currently finding support right at this critical moving average here on the monthly chart, the 55 EMA. But we're currently also below the standard deviation here. So if Tether manages to break above this level here, we could then strengthen our argument that Bitcoin is likely going to fall further and that it will get rejected at the $80,000. And the primary view that we looked at previously would then be invalidated. So we would then be looking at something along the line of this. But what would then strengthen the argument that that case would then happen? So if you take a look at Bitcoin versus the entire crypto market, excluding obviously stable coins, you can see this huge drawdown here for Tether has likely bottomed here. And that we also saw Tether breaking above this trend line here, and it's also entered an early phase here of bullishness, meaning we are broken above this trend line here. We're trying to get above that 21 EMA on the monthly, just like Bitcoin is trying to defend the 21 EMA on the monthly chart. Tether is looking to stay above it. Okay, so if we're seeing Tether catching an upside bid here, it would then make the argument that Bitcoin is likely going to fall further. That's basically how we view the two alternatives here to gauge where we currently are in this market. And you can see here that Tether managed to break above this trend line, and that is why Bitcoin did in fact enter a correction or a bear market back in August last year, and so that explains the drawdown. For now, we're currently seeing Tether likely correcting this entire move here. If it finds support eventually, it could then set the stage for a new bullish phase, and then we could look into the price of Bitcoin and say, well, anything that was upside for BTC was likely just a dead cat rally, meaning we're likely going to get rejected at some point. So if Tether dominance continues to break towards the downside, we could see Bitcoin here moving up to perhaps the 233 EMA, which is this line here. And we could also retest this trend line, which is this trend line here. And so that could obviously set the stage for a bear market rally before further continuing downwards. Or as long as we're staying above that 21 EMA on the monthly chart and breaking above some key levels here on the weekly as well as the daily, So if you take a look at this thing breaking above the 233 EMA and then this trend line here, obviously that would then make the case that Bitcoin has likely bottomed. And we're setting a stage here for another intermediate degree. So that's basically how we view this market. We're taking advantage of this consolidation range here. We're trading it, and we'll see how far it goes up from here, from current levels. We tried during last week to break above the former highs here, but we got rejected, and now we're currently struggling to get above the 55 EMA on a daily. So if we can get above the 55 here, I think that Bitcoin could make another attempt here to break above this resistance line, and then we'll see if we can catch up above the 233 EMA as well as this trend line here. And if we do that, that will strengthen the case that Bitcoin has likely bottomed from these levels, and that we could see Bitcoin moving up towards new all-time highs. But that's just a little bit too early for now to make predictions. We have to take this step by step. So if you're not long already, you can look perhaps to, buy some pullbacks here intraday and take advantage of some upside move here, but keep your stop very tight. I would just make sure that we don't break this trend line here, so you could perhaps set your stop right there. There's also a POC line alongside with this value area lows here that could be your risk level, making sure that you're not breaking that. So that's basically how we view this market. I post a lot on X and trying to explain how this will play out in the next couple of days, and I'll obviously gonna keep you guys updated. So if you haven't already, consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care for now.